The sun sets over Antananarivo, casting a red glow across Madagascar's capital. But tonight, the city is not quiet. Drums echo through the narrow streets. Flags wave from balconies. Fireworks streak the sky. From Independence Avenue to the slopes of Analakali, thousands of people have poured into the streets to celebrate what many are calling a historic victory, the impeachment of President Andry Rajoelina. For weeks, protesters filled these same streets demanding his resignation. Many accused him of desertion of duty after he disappeared from public view amid mounting political unrest. Tonight, their calls have been answered. The National Assembly voted to impeach the 51-year-old leader, marking the end of one of the most turbulent chapters in Madagascar's modern political history. Cheering fills the air. Groups of young men and women dance barefoot on the cracked pavement, waving the red, white and green flag of Madagascar. Their chants are rhythmic, almost musical, a mixture of relief, anger and joy. In every direction, the word whakawhana, meaning freedom, rings out. A middle-aged woman, her face lit by the glow of a nearby torch, holds a small flag close to her chest. "We waited too long," she says. "Now, at last, he is gone." Around her, others sing the national anthem, their voices rising above the chaos. The melody is broken but proud, a declaration that the people of Madagascar have reclaimed their voice. In the days leading up to this night, Antananarivo had been on edge. The protests began peacefully, sparked by economic hardship, rising prices, and allegations of corruption within Rajoelina's administration. But as weeks passed, clashes erupted between demonstrators and police, tear gas drifted through neighbourhoods, and curfews were imposed. Still, the crowds grew larger, united by one demand: Rajoelina must step down. Political analysts describe the impeachment as a culmination of months of pressure from civil society, the military, and even members of Rajoelina's own party. His disappearance, they say, accelerated the process. For nearly 2 weeks, the president had not been seen in public. Rumours swirled that he had fled the country, that he was negotiating asylum, that he had fallen ill. None of it could be confirmed. But in the absence of leadership, the parliament moved swiftly. Inside the National Assembly, lawmakers voted overwhelmingly in favour of impeachment, citing constitutional violations and abandonment of office. The motion passed with 102 votes, far above the two-thirds majority required. Outside, word spread instantly through social media. Within minutes, crowds began gathering across the capital. The sound of celebration is unmistakable. Whistles, horns, drums, a spontaneous orchestra of liberation. Youth groups perform traditional dances in the streets, while elders sit on curbsides clapping to the rhythm. The scene is jubilant but also reflective. This is not just about politics, says one university student. It's about dignity. We want leaders who stay, not those who run when things get hard. The fall of Rajoelina marks a stunning reversal for a man once hailed as Madagascar's youthful reformer. At just 34, he first rose to power after leading a coup in 2009 that toppled then-President Marc Ravalomanana. His charisma and populist tone earned him early support, especially among the urban poor. But critics say his later years in power were marred by authoritarian tendencies, cronyism, and a widening gap between rich and poor. Economically, Madagascar has struggled to recover from repeated political crises. Despite its natural wealth, from vanilla exports to precious minerals, poverty remains widespread. According to the World Bank, nearly 80% of Malagasy citizens live on less than $2 a day. Recent droughts and cyclones have only deepened the hardship. Many viewed Rajoelina's government as detached from these realities. As the camera pans across the crowd, faces blur into a sea of colour and emotion. Some wave homemade placards reading "Tsiho Tafavarina Insoni," he will not return. Others light candles saying prayers for peace. The symbolism is powerful. Celebration mixed with mourning, as if the nation is exhaling after years of tension. Nearby, a group of musicians has set up makeshift drums using oil barrels. Their beats are steady and hypnotic. Young children dance in circles, their laughter rising above the noise. "This is our Independence Day again," one man shouts into the camera, his face glistening with sweat. "We chased out a man who forgot us." International observers are watching closely. The African Union and the Southern African Development Community have both urged restraint and constitutional order. In a statement, the UN office in Madagascar called on political leaders to ensure a peaceful transition and to respect the will of the people. Yet questions remain. Who will lead next, and will the transition hold? The Vice President of the National Assembly is expected to serve as interim leader until new elections can be organised. Analysts warn, however, that Madagascar's political system is fragile, and without strong institutions, the risk of another power struggle looms. Madagascar has seen this cycle before, says one regional expert. A president rises on popular anger, then falls to it. The real test will be whether this moment leads to reform, not revenge. In the heart of the capital, the celebration shows no sign of ending. The streets pulse with the beat of tambours, the rhythm of history turning a page. Vendors sell roasted corn and fried bananas to the revellers. Cars honk in unison. From a rooftop, a group of teenagers wave the national flag, shouting, "Long live Madagascar!" The crowd below responds with a roar. The night sky fills with confetti made of torn newspapers, headlines fluttering like broken promises. "We are free," someone shouts, and for a brief moment it feels true. But beneath the music and movement, uncertainty lingers. The institutions that impeach the president must now prove they can govern. The police, who days ago clashed with protesters, now patrol quietly on the edges of the crowd. Some carry rifles but keep them lowered. The atmosphere is celebratory but tense, as if everyone knows that freedom, once won, can be easily lost. In a quiet corner of the city, an elderly teacher watches the celebration from her window. "I've seen 3 presidents fall," she says softly. "Every time, we hope the next one will listen." Maybe this time someone will. Her words capture the mood of a nation at a crossroads, joy tempered by memory. Madagascar's history is rich with uprisings, coups, and fragile transitions. Yet tonight, for millions, the moment belongs to the people. After years of hardship and disillusionment, they have forced accountability, not through the gun, but through the vote and the voice. As dawn approaches, the celebrations begin to thin. The drums grow quieter, the songs slower. Groups linger around bonfires, sharing food and stories. The streets are littered with flags, bottles, and ashes, the remnants of a night that will be remembered for generations. A few hours later, in a hastily arranged press conference, members of parliament confirm the vote. They promise a caretaker government will be formed within days. Outside the building, hundreds still chant the same words: democracy, democracy, democracy. For many Malagasy citizens, those words are not just a slogan, they are a promise that the future will be built not by one man's power, but by collective will. By midday, the streets of Antananarivo begin to quiet. Shopkeepers reopen their stores, children walk to school, and the smell of charcoal fires fills the air. Yet the echo of last night's songs lingers. From a small radio, a news anchor repeats the headline, "President Rajoelina impeached for dereliction of duty." It sounds surreal, even to those who fought for it. Across the nation, in towns from Toamasina to Fianarantsoa, spontaneous rallies break out in support of the decision. In the coastal city of Mahajanga, fishermen hold their oars aloft in solidarity. In the highlands, farmers gather to listen to news broadcasts on old transistor radios. For once, the nation's divided voices speak in unison. Internationally, reactions are mixed. France, Madagascar's former colonial power, calls for stability and dialogue. The United States issues a brief statement urging democratic continuity. African leaders from Mozambique and Tanzania praise the Malagasy people for choosing constitutional paths. Meanwhile, rumours spread that Rajoelina has fled to Mauritius, though his whereabouts remain unconfirmed. In Antananarivo, A mural appears overnight on the side of a government building. It shows a raised fist breaking through a red background with the words, "Ni Vahuaka no Heri," the people are the power. Children stop to stare at it, and someone lays a single rose at its base. This image, perhaps more than any speech or law, captures what the night meant. A people long silenced found their collective voice. A leader who hid was brought down not by violence, but by persistence. It is a reminder that democracy, fragile as it may be, can still surprise, even in places where hope once felt impossible. As the credits roll, the camera returns to the city skyline. Smoke from the celebrations drifts over the hills. The red, white and green flag flutters against the morning breeze. The voiceover fades with a final reflection that in Madagascar, history is never quiet, but tonight it spoke clearly. The people have reclaimed their story.